Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question asks if I can analyze the mental health and personality factors that may be at work with Paris Hilton and comment on her documentary, This is Paris, that was released in September of 2020. Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing anybody in this video, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I'll put the link to Patreon in the description for this video. First, I'll start with the background of Paris Hilton, move to the mental health and personality factors, and then offer some commentary on her documentary. Paris Hilton was born in New York on February 17, 1981. She would be the oldest of 4 children. Her father has been described as a businessman, and her mother used to be an actress. Conrad Hilton, the man who founded Hilton Hotels, is Paris Hilton's great-grandfather. Her family moved around quite a bit when she was young. She lived in New York and California. She went to school in Los Angeles, and when she was 15, the family moved back to New York. Paris ran into some difficulty around that time, dealing with her parents. Her behavior became difficult to manage. She was missing school, going out to nightclubs. She had a fake ID. She wasn't really following the rules. Her parents sent her to boarding schools, but she escaped. Then they had her kidnapped, as she put it in her documentary, and taken to the Provo Canyon School in Utah, where escape was quite difficult. This method of taking a child to boarding school is unusual, so having people come in and grab them like in the evening with no warning, but I have heard of it being done in several instances. Typically, it's the boarding school that comes up with the idea to take the child in a way that is aggressive, sudden, and definitive. It really removes the option of negotiating, like the child can't plead to the parents to stop what they're doing because it's on autopilot. The people come in, they grab them, and they go. This experience can be traumatizing. Fortunately, it's not as common these days. Paris was at this facility for 11 months, and she alleges that she was mistreated both verbally and physically. After her release, she became active in modeling. She starred with Nicole Richie in a TV show called The Simple Life in 2003. A few months later, a sex tape was released featuring Hilton and her boyfriend at that time, named Rick Solomon. This gave a massive boost to Hilton's career. She appeared in many TV shows, films. She co-wrote a book, released an album, licensed her name to a video game, produced hair products, had a motorcycle racing team, worked as a DJ, created her own perfume, footwear, and sunglasses, and was involved in a number of other business ventures. She's really done a lot in her career. Now, in 2006, she was arrested for DUI. In 2007, she was caught driving with a suspended license. A month after that, she was pulled over going 70 miles per hour in a 35 mile per hour zone with her headlights off. She was also charged with violating probation. She failed to enroll in a court-ordered alcohol education program. She was sentenced to 45 days in jail, but she only served 21. In 2010, she was arrested again, this time for possessing cocaine. She would end up pleading guilty to 2 misdemeanors. In September of 2010, she was sentenced to 1 year of probation. In September 2020, Paris released the This is Paris documentary. She wanted to reinvent her public image. She said she was not a dumb blonde, but a serious businesswoman. Now moving to the mental health and personality factors. As far as personality, the difficulty, of course, with somebody like Paris Hilton is that she seems to have a persona that is part of her brand, like she's a performance artist. So the question always becomes, what is her true personality? The answer, of course, is that there is no way to know. Interestingly, I think in the documentary, she was trying to give the audience a look at who she really was, to create some type of separation between who she really is and the persona that she created. With that in mind, let's take a look at the potential personality profile for her, which is based on what is observable. To conceptualize personality, I use the 5-factor model. I remember the big 5 traits through the acronym OCEAN. Openness to experience, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. So with openness to experience, we see that Paris has a high level. She is creative, intellectually curious, and adventurous. As far as conscientiousness, this one gets a little tricky. She clearly has experiences consistent with low conscientiousness, like being arrested several times. But on the other hand, she runs a multi-million-dollar business, a behavior more consistent with a higher level of conscientiousness. So with this trait, I'm going to break this down at the facet level. So looking at these 6 facets of conscientiousness. The first is competence. Here her level is high. She is effective and capable. The second one is order. Her level here is mid-range. She is somewhat organized and methodical, but not overly so. The third one is dutifulness. She's mid-range here because she does seem to follow some type of moral code, but maybe not too strictly. Number 4 is achievement striving. She is particularly ambitious, so her level would be high. For self-discipline, which is the 5th facet, we see her level is high. She is motivated to complete the job in front of her. And for the 6th facet, deliberation, we see that her level appears to be low. She does not always think things through before she acts. So overall, her conscientiousness seems a little higher than average when we weigh all 6 facets together. So now moving to extroversion. While her persona seems to have extremely high extroversion, like outgoing, friendly, assertive, and excitement-seeking, from the documentary it appears as though her actual personality may be mid-range to above average, so not as high as what we see in the persona. And looking at agreeableness, we see her persona appears to be agreeable. She's empathic, straightforward, and trusting, but her actual personality seems to have a slightly lower level, perhaps a little bit more competitive and less trusting, although she still appears to be gullible. For example, she claims to have talked to world-renowned psychics. Now, with neuroticism, we see that her persona has a low level. She is poised and calm under stress. Her actual personality seems to have a little bit of a higher level. She talked about experiencing some negative emotions in that documentary. As far as mental health, other than ADHD, I don't remember Paris ever specifically indicating that she had any type of disorder, although in the documentary she did say that she had been traumatized. She once said in an interview that she doesn't have enough trust to see a therapist. In the documentary, we see she reported nightmares and insomnia, but that doesn't necessarily mean she has any type of disorder. Paris alleges that she endured abuse at that boarding school and that this led to other problems in her life, including a desire to maintain control. Also in the documentary, she brought a group of people together that had gone to the school who also experienced maltreatment, and she seemed to get some type of sense of meaning from promoting that, I guess, anti-boarding school message, right? Like warning people of the dangers of boarding schools. A highly specific, but perhaps legitimate concern. If abuse is really going on in those environments, we do need to take a look at that. What's interesting about Paris is that if we take everything that she has said together, kind of looking at multiple sources, it seems like she's struggling with growing older and finding meaning in her life, like some type of existential crisis or perhaps just concerns about identity and purpose. She made the documentary because she's trying to reinvent herself. She wants to move away from the persona she's created, this ditzy, glamorous party girl image, to more of a businesswoman image. So this brings us to the question, what business is she in? She has started and runs many businesses, but what is her actual talent? Why did she become famous in the first place? And how did she move from that level of fame to the incredible level of fame we see now? Paris was a model and then a TV star. From that, she managed to establish this idea of being famous simply for being famous. This idea that if somebody is attractive and confident, all they need to do is convince people to take their picture or write about them. It's like saying if you can't have the job you want, just pretend you have it. Somehow, her strategy worked. She took her minor celebrity status and formed herself into a major celebrity. She pioneered a new industry. Some would argue that she was really the first social media influencer. This whole idea that somebody doesn't have to have any discernible skill to be famous. In a sense, it is easy to criticize Paris Hilton, but in another way, she really has done something amazing. I'm not sure if it's good or not, but it is amazing. She has managed to stay in the spotlight for many years, although not as much in the spotlight in the last decade or so. And she's been able to convert this into a lot of money. Here's where the existential piece comes in. Like so many people who are rich and famous, what they learn is that their life is finite, just like everyone else's. They may really believe they're special, and it seems clear that Paris does believe this, but that doesn't fit with the idea of mortality. How can somebody be special but still die someday? Paris once said that she will be 21 forever. She said, "Death scares me because I don't know what will happen. I just don't want to be nothing because that would be so boring." She said that she was trying to figure out a way to freeze herself or invent a fountain of youth pill. Other than her time in boarding school, her life has been filled with people telling her how great she was, taking pictures of her, recording video of her, wanting to know her opinion, wanting to be in business with her. Almost everything in her life pointed to the idea that she was special. And one of the worst things happened after that. She believed it. This is a setup for disappointment, because as it turns out, she's only human. Paris exposed the weakness of building a life on narcissism. This type of life is actually hollow. Paris became the goddess of narcissism, a representation of how that lifestyle is truly empty, why there is no end game. Her success is based on appearance, not substance, and appearances inevitably fade. Paris also seems to be in search of security. Even though she never had to work at all if she did not want to, she keeps working to make more money. She said that when she made $100 million, she set a goal of making $1 billion. According to her, if she ever reaches that goal, she will be happy. Again, here we see what appears to be a lack of insight. It could all be an act, of course, but if we were to take what she said literally, she's chasing happiness in the wrong places. What I found so interesting about the boarding school narrative was that, in a way, it gave an explanation to Paris. She's attributing her current behavior and feelings to that maltreatment. Now, the way she was treated seems terrible, and certainly it could have led to problems, but I don't know if it really explains what she's going through now. I think that what she's essentially saying is, I can feel better now because I know it's not my fault. How does she know who is to blame for certain? Will she find any satisfaction if she does correctly blame the responsible party? The only way to figure out the answer to those questions is to go and see a counselor, something that, again, it appears she does not want to do. So in stepping back and looking at this, Paris Hilton is undeniably fascinating. Someone who believes that she is getting exactly the fame and wealth that she deserves, but at the same time, someone who does not seem satisfied with her life. Paris Hilton is a commentary on society. Why are people so eager to meet her, to emulate her, to achieve undeserved fame and wealth like she did, and engage in a life of excess? What true redeeming value does Paris Hilton offer to society, other than a warning? Money doesn't buy happiness, and overconfidence does not grant satisfaction. Those are my thoughts on Paris Hilton. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comment section. They always generate an interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found my analysis of this topic to be interesting. Thanks for watching.